So along these lines, did you see the He Gets Us Super Bowl commercials?
Yes.
Okay. So very controversial. I'm curious to hear your point of view. The 2 points of view
You know
I'm
what I'm
hearing.
going to say.
What's that?
You know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, I think I do. For our listeners, there's one perspective that like, wow, that's great. Super Bowl coverage. You're talking about the gospel and Jesus and this and that. And then the opponents of it are like, you spent how many millions of dollars to run a commercial about Jesus? They're like, I don't think Jesus would spend millions of dollars to run a commercial. He would, give it to the poor people, help people, feed people, like whatever. So there's a lot of pushback because it's like, wow, you spent all that money.
I don't share either of those perspectives.
Interesting.
Neither.
Tell me.
I think that it was such a dig at targeting the standard American traditionalism and saying, you're going to see, here's the thing. Jesus didn't wash the feet of every sinner he came. He washed the feet of his close friends when they were in private. This was not a thing where he walked around and took some fruitcake cross-dresser he's not even going to rebuke the sin. He's going to wash his feet. And basically the commercial was saying validate. To me,
Interesting.
there was nothing followed up. You had Christians bending down on their knee to wash the feet of a BLM protester, whatever it was, or all this stuff. Jesus would perform a miracle for someone and tell them to go and sin no more, change your life. Like, I'm not validating this. I'm showing you love and compassion so you will change your life. And that commercial didn't express that at all.
Interesting.
And I don't care, like, it's an organization that raises money. You spend as much money as you want. If that's where you want to put your money, if you're, I would assume that organization is also donating a lot of money. But then you get into the part of legalism where what expense for a church is acceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
What is the perfect biblical church budget look like?
There's some needs you have. You have to have a good sound system. But how do you justify that? Like, well, you can get you don't have to get that good of a sound system. Like, how far do we go?
Right.
So sorry, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
No, I was going to say we're literally like getting quotes for a sound system right now.
Yeah.
And we got one that was like $15,000. And I'm like, I don't think this is a $15,000 problem that we have. Like a few new speakers and, we need a better Zoom connection because that's not connecting very well. But like, I was like, to me, I'm like, okay, that does not seem like a good way for a church to spend money. Like, it's a small church.
I agree.
So
I don't want to, this is not me judging your church, because I actually think your church has a super wholesome atmosphere. It's a biblically based church. It's humble. There's no flash, which I love.
Yeah.
I really love that.
Yeah.
There's no flash. And I'm sorry, I could go to church every Sunday and listen to hymns played on piano and be just fine.
Yeah.
I don't need,
Yeah.
It's fine for me, which is also my other issue with church, is that they've abandoned the hymns.
Yeah.
They've abandoned the history of your church, of your whole historical journey. Some of these hymns date back to the 1400s. A Mighty Fortress Is Our God was written in 1550.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, that old. I think, what was the other one? I have a book on the hymns, like the history of the hymns.
Yeah.
That's an important part of church and Christianity. And to dismiss it so easily for some melodic Hillsong moaning over an electric guitar is unfair to me.
I've played in a worship band. I've played like Hillsong stuff. And I kind of come to realize like, some of those songs, I like them. I'm not going to doubt like the authorship.
Right.
Some of them I think theologically I don't agree with. But what I started to notice is like, obviously it's very formulaic. It's a form of pop music. So it's very formulaic essentially. But
Easy melodies.
I'm like, there are parts where, the music is just orchestrated in such a way that it just builds up in a way. And I realized I was like, we could be singing the alphabet right now and you would still get teary-eyed because of when I bring in the bass and when the keys come in and the drums build up. Like, you could be singing the alphabet and people would start crying.
Right.
Because of the way the music, it's just a little emotionally
music.
like manipulative.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, we're doing just hymns at our church for the most part. But I didn't realize there were some that were that old.
I'm telling you, dude, that's why to me it's so unfair for a church to turn their back on that.
Yeah.
The people who wrote these hymns, I mean, if you read the stories, have you ever looked into some of the stories of like why hymns were written?
Some I have, like what's the one piece?
One Piece Like a River.
Yeah. So
One Piece Like a River. Something My
it
Soul.
is well, right?
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
well.
it's like the guy, like I think his family died.
Yeah,
in
his
the-
whole family died in a
Yeah.
shipwreck or
Yeah.
something like that. He wrote that. Amazing Grace, the story behind Amazing Grace.
Mm-hmm.
And then plus to go back 500 years and sing a song, and it's just,
wild.
I know, a mighty fortresses are, and now that when you think about it, you're like, okay, I can picture this in some German cathedral,
Yeah.
like Handel wrote it.
You know, you know what? This is where I have a hard time. So we do hymns at our church. Most of these songs, honestly, like I thought I knew my hymns. They pull out
Yeah,
hymns that I've never heard before. So I'm just trying to like read the music because we have a hymnal.
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to read the music and like figure out the melody. That like, what happens for me is I am not even really aware of what I'm singing.
really.
Yeah, unless it's a hymn that I know, but like I'm just trying to catch the melody and like.
All right, fair enough.
So for that, like having more quote unquote modern songs where it's like, all right, here's the 10 songs we're going to play for the next 3 months. You can kind of like
Easy to sing.
learn the song. It's
Yeah.
easier to sing. But I agree. There's like a rich history to it.
At least have a mix.
Yeah, I could see it.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, I could do
You
a
know.
mix. Or even like a contemporized version
I
of a
totally
hymn.
agree. I love bands. There's a lot of good Christian bands that
Yeah.
that update the hymns.
Yep.
Ascend the Hill. You ever heard of Ascend the Hill?
No.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah.
We're gonna pause this at some point, and I'm gonna play you "Ascend the Hill." Ascend the Hill has a whole album of hymns. Like they took the song "The Love of God." The love of God is greater far than pen or song could ever. To whatever, I can't remember the lyrics, but they do a version of "I Surrender All." Amazing,
Wow.
and it's modernized. I like that,
Yeah.
and I think that's totally fair because the message of the song is still there.